Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about a certain Democratic congresswoman and former politician who had to leave her post in shame earlier this year. I'm of course talking about Katie Hill from California. She formerly represented a district there and it turned out to be a total mess under her administration. In fact, Katie Hill had to resign because she got caught associating with her staffers in inappropriate ways. Basically, she was hooking up with people that worked for her underneath her that were under her thumb and under her authority. She kind of used her power to pressure people into romantic things, and it all got exposed and came out. And really the worst part now is they try to treat Katie Hill like some kind of martyr and hero. They try to act like she was wronged when we all know if this had happened to any other person, it would be obviously considered bad. If a Republican, male or female, took advantage of their staffers, that would obviously be grounds for a scandal. And of course, if it was a male, even maybe a Democrat male, I don't know, Democrats get away with almost everything these days, but basically she's getting away with it because she's a girl. She kind of fashioned herself as this bi girl, this kind of alphabet girl, the first alphabet in Congress or something like that. She went down in flames and now they're actually going to move forward. And the reason the controversy came back up is they've just announced that a TV adaptation of this woman's book is going to be produced starring Elizabeth Moss. This is a famous actress who's been in a number of hit shows, including Mad Men and whatever that one show is with the chicks that are all like captured on Amazon or something like that, whatever it is. Anyway, basically this famous actress is going to play Katie Hill and it's pretty obvious it's going to be a sympathetic portrayal, trying to make her out to be this victim and this hero at the same time, when really we know it's not the case. We know that she abused people. She took advantage of her place of power. She did inappropriate things with coworkers, things that you and I would never be able to get away with, never would want to get away with. But regardless, we're here, we're talking about this story, and an interesting development happened a few days ago when Katie's former Twitter account was taken over supposedly by her former staffers. This isn't a big stretch since they would have had her passwords before, and they revealed a lot of interesting facts about the story. So we're going to get to that soon. We're going to go over all the details and all the facts, but first, let's take a quick moment to check out our sponsor. The First Amendment has been under attack by big tech and many others on the left for a long time now. Cancel culture is certainly in full swing, and that's why many creators, including myself, we're under constant threat of being deplatformed and or demonetized, which means we won't have money to feed our families. That's why I highly recommend you guys check out our new pages on the crowdfunding website called Superfans. This social media platform fully supports public and civil discourse. This means creators can be themselves. You could just think of Superfans as the fusion of Patreon, Cameo, Subscribestar, and Instagram, minus all the judgment and politics. All my feeds on Instagram and YouTube automatically sync to my feed on Superfans. Here you can see my page right there. I'm at superfans.co/NoBS, and we're going to set up some tiers and some rewards and give you guys some special videos on there. So make sure you check out my account. Again, the link is Superfans. That's Superfans with a Z instead of an S. Then you hit .co/NoBS. I'll have the link below this video. Check out my content there. Check out Superfans. They're a great site. They're supporting this channel and helping keep free speech alive. Thanks for your time. And now back to the show. Great, now that that's out of the way, let's talk more about Katie Hill. Here's an article and tweet from Mary that has more details. It says, last night, Katie Hill, former government Twitter account, condemned news that Elizabeth Moss will star in a TV adaptation of the disgraced former congresswoman. Katie is not a hero for women, her former staffers allegedly tweeted. Now, here's another point to point out. I mean, what these tweets we're going to get to, they're very revealing. They show the bad side of the story. And they're likely someone that worked for her or knew and was privy to information, but it's also possible it was someone random, someone happened across her password. It could be an enemy of Katie's. It could be a hacker, as they eventually claim. Her go-to defense after this came out was she got hacked, but that's a pretty long shot chance. Like, a lot of people use the hacking defense whenever they post something silly or someone posts for them or an accident happens. Like, the whole hacker defense is pretty common and pretty dated, but that's where this is going to go. Let's go ahead and go into the article and get to some of those tweets, which no matter where they come from, they reveal a lot of good details about this story. Actually, not good, I would say dark and sad details about the story. So here it says, former Katie Hill staffers allegedly took over her government Twitter account Tuesday evening to condemn news of a television show about the disgraced former congresswoman. The Handmaid's Tale star Elizabeth Moss will play Hill in Blumhouse Television's adaptation of Hill's memoir, Deadline reported Tuesday. So this is just another thing before we even move forward. It's just really funny because, I mean, damn, this is where Hollywood's going to make their comeback. They're going to make an adaptation of this like disgraced predator-like Democratic congresswoman, and they're going to try to portray her as a hero now, like heroizing this person who was a deviant, who was doing inappropriate things with her power at her work. So it's just really messed up that Hollywood would go for this, but I don't think it should surprise us much anymore because, you know, they've done this over and over. They've supported very vile things, like with that Cuties controversy on Netflix, with other situations like where they just go pro alphabet too far and like jump the shark. But let's get to more of the story. Here's the background. Apparently it broke back in October of last year. It says, amid allegations that she had inappropriate relationship with her staffers, she has said she was unfairly treated after Daily Mail published photos which were allegedly of her on its website. This is an incredibly sensitive situation, the purported staffers tweeted. We appreciate the instinct to defend our former boss, a alphabet woman who faced abuse from her husband. What happened to Katie Hill shouldn't happen to anyone, but this moment requires more nuance as Katie Hill's story, our story, is also one of workplace abuse and harassment. So they're trying to point out what they get to eventually is that she might be the victim of other cases. She might have had other bad things happen to her, but she's also a perpetrator. She's not just the victim and innocent of everything. Like a victim can do bad things too. Like if someone gets killed, for example, in a random example, that doesn't mean they're automatically innocent of everything that happened to them before. Like criminals die, bad people get sick. You know, just because you get sick doesn't mean you were doing bad or something like that. It's just, you know, a kind of analogy to make you think. Katie Hill can be both a victim and perpetrator. Those tweeting from Hill's account continued, and staff can experience severe consequences for speaking out against their powerful boss. No one should have to put themselves in harm's way for the public to understand a simple truth. Katie Hill is not a hero for women. We deserve heroes who embody our values even in the most difficult moments. So yeah, she's failed. She's a disgraced Democrat. That's why this story is breaking again. Elizabeth Moss is going to play her, which is just totally hilarious. Obviously, she's a very woke actress. She's been in very woke things before. She actually started way back as a child actor. I remember her on The West Wing, which was a notoriously pro-liberal show. It was basically like a fantasy show about like the perfect Democratic administration for president that just happened to go on and be held during the Bush administration. Like basically Democrats were pretending Bush didn't happen, so they had this whole fake presidency on TV. It was kind of sad, but also a good show. I'm not going to deny it. I watched it way back in the day, though. I wonder how it would be to rewatch it now because it's going to be way more hard to take it seriously. Regardless, Elizabeth Moss was on that show. She was on Mad Men. She was on The Handmaid's Tale, was that show I couldn't name earlier. So she's obviously a up-and-coming actress. She was also in that Invisible Man movie earlier this year. That was pretty good. I believe that was with Blumhouse too, who does typically like scary movies, sometimes like thrillers, sometimes whichever, but that's who's behind this. So I wouldn't expect much from this product. It's like, you know, this kind of like scary movie production company. They're not like the highest quality, but maybe they're trying to up their game, but they definitely picked the wrong project. Like, why would you want to defend this person? Like, they might as well make a defense for like Roman Polanski or Harvey Weinstein or something like that, like other kinds of villains in the public who are known Democrats, like committing these heinous crimes against their underlings. Hill's alleged former staffers highlighted that the House Ethics Committee never investigated Hill and that the former Congresswoman has not been held accountable for anyone other than herself. The former Congresswoman resigned from her position following the announcement of a health ethics investigation into her act. So this says a lot. I mean, she knew she was guilty. She resigned in shame. We remember when this happened. We covered it at the time about a year ago. But the worst part is she wouldn't let it go. She couldn't just resign and quietly, like, you know, sundown and get out of the public spotlight. She kind of like squirmed and wanted another 15 minutes of fame. And she tried to act like she was the victim. We've seen her speak out. We've seen her, you know, on Twitter, you know, gaggling with the other geese on there, talking trash, trying to act like, oh, Trump's racist or something. It's like, screw you guys. You guys are all perverts. We encourage everyone to reflect deeply before taking her word at face value, they said. Katie took advantage of her subordinates. She caused immense harm to the people who worked for her, many of whom were young women just beginning their careers in politics. Now, this also reminds me of another Joe Biden story. A Biden story we covered recently was when he got in trouble and got called out by one of his staffers from like the 90s, and he was doing some inappropriate things too, taking advantage. Very similar to this. This is just a classic kind of Democrat MO. I mean, this goes all the way back to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was president and he was sleeping with staffers. He had the whole Monica Lewinsky scandal and he weathered that storm. He was still left in office. He, you know, was impeached but not removed, and it turned into a whole drama there. But it's just like, yeah, Democrats can just get away with everything and then they throw it back in your faces and they never go away after they're caught either. It's like they want to like kind of stay in the spotlight to just spite you. You know, I feel like that's what the Clintons did a lot, because even though Hillary's a different person, she was directly involved with that. I mean, that's her husband. She approved of that. She didn't divorce him. She didn't leave him. She didn't even like try to disavow. She like tried to actually attack his accusers and like accuse them of bad things. She tried to turn it political. So I think that's something that might have looked bad on Hillary when she was running, and it will certainly look bad upon Biden and other Democrats. Like, you kind of see how their side operates. Workplace abuse and harassment are never okay, even if your boss is a woman and or survivor, the alleged staffer said. Believe us when we say it's not only about who starts it, it's also about who ends it, they continued. And while Katie is certainly the survivor of abuse, we are not confident that she sufficiently acted to end her own patterns of inappropriate and abusive behavior. They concluded enough is enough. In order to advance the Me Too movement, we must be willing to acknowledge the problematic behaviors among those in our communities. Only then will we see true progress. So this is actually the best part, really. I mean, it's like they're trying to hold her accountable. They're trying to finally give her some punishment. I mean, yeah, she resigned from office. She lost her position, but she did that in shame and to avoid an investigation that surely would have given her way more embarrassment, given her maybe crimes and arrests and gotten her put into jail or something like that too. So she's definitely getting off easy, especially considering now they're making a movie about her. Her book was made and sold. Like, she's making lots of money now, which is very inappropriate to like capitalize on this kind of scandal that you caused by hooking up with your staff members. I mean, it's so high school. It's so immature and inappropriate and just classic Democrats. Here's the part where she says she was hacked. This is a tweet saying some kind of hacker got in. Of course, that's the defense. Thanks to all who let me know my government official Twitter account was hacked, Hill said in the tweet. Control of my account was immediately handed back to the House clerk when I resigned, including password changes and access restrictions. God knows who hacked it from there. Hill did not immediately respond to a request for comment from the Daily Caller News Foundation. So all she addresses is that it's a hack. She's trying to cover up the comments, not really addressing them and really missing the point. Like I said earlier, it actually doesn't matter so much who said that stuff. It is true things. There are people on her staff who are trying to get justice and trying to speak out and show that she abused them. Like, she is a bad person who had to resign in shame. So there's not really like any lies here. Like, I don't see the lie. I think she's just more embarrassed that someone did this on her former account and she's trying to put the blame off on someone else. But that's just typical Katie. That's just typical lefty. I mean, they never take responsibility. They always blame everyone else. Nothing is culpable for them, especially if you're, say, a female and an alphabet, which is what Katie claims. I mean, honestly, I don't think this is like the biggest deal. Like, she says she's bi, which basically means she has boyfriends and girlfriends. And I just don't see that as like the big victim status that she wants to claim here. Like, to me, whenever they claim to be bi, it just seems like they're trying to get special treatment. They're trying to use it as a shield. It reminds me of when a certain actor got caught a few years back. Kevin Spacey got in trouble for some inappropriate things he did back in his history. And his immediate response was to say, oh, I'm gay. Like, I forgot to mention, did I say I'm gay? Like, he came out at that moment and it was so obvious, and that had happened before. And that's what I think is going on with Katie Hill a bit too, in a different way. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Tell me what you think about Katie, this new story, this new TV show, and whether or not this Moss Bloomhouse adaptation is going to be too charitable to Katie Hill. Comment that all below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you're new too. Until next time, have a great day.